You're listening to KOUG Radio. Listen live online at KOUGradio.org.
Hello, and welcome back to Earworm, Season 2, Episode 4.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
I wanted to ask you, what did you mean by the third kind? Because it kind of just caught me off guard.
That's the name of a movie.
Of the third kind?
No, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's a 1977 film.
Oh. What is it about? How'd it do? Obviously not that well.
No, it
I've
did
never
good.
heard of
It's a UFO movie. It's like an old UFO movie.
Oh.
It's got a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb.
Well, you know.
It's a good...
It was within the same decade as Star
It's in
Wars,
Indiana.
so it kind of got overshadowed.
Yeah, different space situation.
That kind of just happened to a lot of movies around that
It's
time.
like a pop culture film, I think. What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I didn't know my sound was on.
This man is opening something.
Yes.
It was directed by Steven Spielberg.
Oh. Well, you know, I guess not everything can be the best movie of all time. I don't know why I'm mixing up. I feel like I'm mixing up my directors with.
Someone just died outside.
It sounded like someone dropped a whole carton of stuff. I don't know
Milk
why.
starts spilling through the bottom of the door.
It was like over there. It starts seeping through the wall. Oh no! You just hear in the distance, my milk! But Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We're talking about our own animal encounters.
Yep.
And funny, goofy, scary, or silly ways that they've happened.
I've had a few.
You have had a few?
I've
That's
had a
good. I can only I know that I have, but I feel like the more that I talk about it, the more I'll remember. Because right now I can only think of two. And so that's it's kind of like small to big.
Okay.
It's like 0 to 100 really quickly from mine. And so I'll start off.
Okay.
Because mine is kind of an earlier childhood memory.
Oh.
Do you remember in school, elementary school? I feel like elementary school was the time where you would go on the most field trips.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there was one.
I wish we went on more field trips.
I feel like college, you should go on more field trips.
You just walk. If they're like, we're going on a field trip, you just end up walking around campus or like walking down the road.
And it's like, I do that
already
every day anyway. You know, you're showing me stuff like, oh, look, that's the famous trash can. It's like, wow.
I'm so impressed.
I'm so impressed.
Can we go back into the classroom now, please? At least it's warm in there.
College should be the place where they take you to like where the actual research happens and like where things.
Well, sometimes the
off.
research is happening on the campuses. Like we have research going on in the science building.
Well, I know, but if there was like, I mean, especially for our major because it's more environmental related. You know, and if they took us to like
watershed.
Yeah, if they took us to an area where they're where they're working on research or they're working on things for environmental control.
But they don't.
What's up with that? Maybe we should start that.
We should
rent out school buses and make that a business.
I like this idea.
But anyway, so field trips, elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what grade, but we
old
went
enough to be conscious, like 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I think it was 4th grade because I remember my friend Ryan was in the class with me.
Yeah.
And he was definitely there because we went out and we went to a farm.
Oh, how lovely.
And it was the one that's just like east a little bit. I think it's not Beezy. Maybe it is Beezy Farms.
I love Beezy Farm. Something is happening out there.
There's
someone is like clittering and clattering out there.
There's a kerfuffle going on.
Yeah, someone's fighting and they're both covered in plastic spoons is what it sounds like.
That's such an accurate
that's what it sounds like.
But
I love Beezy.
Beezy Farms is great. I actually went there.
They have the pumpkin patch and the petting zoo and the corn pit that you drown in every time. Get corn in your socks.
I went there this October for the pumpkin patch and I brought my dog with me and they know how they have the little area for the petting zoo.
Yeah.
I took him in there and they have this huge cow and the cow was like pretty chill, relaxed, like letting people pet him and stuff. And then as soon as my dog rounded the corner, he was like dead set on my dog. And I was like, this is weird.
Something bad is about to happen.
Yeah, and so like I was kind of just like hanging out, like I was trying to keep my distance. And Hillary and our friends were like petting the cow and whatnot. And then they kind of went off for a little bit. And so I was like, I want to pet the cow. And so I got a little closer and I was like reaching out to pet him, and I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And so I'm probably from me to you as far as like the fence, and the cow.
A couple feet.
Yeah, a couple feet, and the cow's on the other side of the fence, like dead set on my dog, and he kind of like bucks forward a little bit.
Literally, he like, try me.
Yeah, he did.
He like fakes you out.
It was bizarre, but that's.
I didn't know you were allowed to bring dogs to BZ.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
If you're not, then call me a
oopsie
rule breaker.
daisies.
But anyway, we went to BZ Farms. It was around like probably spring, close to summer, and it was the coolest thing because this is the first time I can remember seeing one in the wild. I was just walking around, and I remember because my friend Ryan was there, and he like, come look at this.
Come here.
And so I like ran over thinking it was like a cow or something, or a goat or a duck,
a chicken perhaps.
And it was a prime mantis.
Oh,
he had found one on the fence, just like
chilling,
and I was like, it was a huge one too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm remembering it a lot.
A tiny child.
Yeah. So, but at the time, it was probably like this big.
Yeah, big.
It was big.
Yeah.
But that was really cool, and I remember that being that's like a very vivid memory of mine, because that was the first time I saw a really cool animal,
like a wild animal.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it wasn't in that area, it's like,
right,
this is neat.
Yeah,
that was my first one. I want to hear yours. I feel like you have more than I do.
Well, I have
maybe
I have like 3 of my own or something, and then I have some anecdotes from friends and family.
Okay.
You started slim. Well, what's the right word?
Slim? I don't know.
You started low on the spectrum of scary.
Oh. My brother has a really terrifying one for later.
So I guess I'll talk about this one. I went camping with my partner Isaac. We love Isaac very much.
Yes.
And I went camping with his family.
I love him more.
I know you do. He knows as well.
That's good.
We went camping at Silver Lake in Oregon, and beautiful place. Silver Falls, not Silver Lake. Silver Falls.
I was gonna say I've heard of Silver Falls, but not Silver Lake.
And it was kind of like a family reunion thing, camping trip, and I tagged along, and it kind of ended with like this massive like family rift fight happening.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. I was a passive bystander.
Was it all Isaac's side of the family, or was it like yours and his?
No, my family
heads?
Was not there.
Oh, so it was all his.
I tagged along. Yeah, it was 2 sides of his family going at it.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, there was like it was like pent up traumas and stuff from the past. Like all this family drama just came and bubbled over the top, and I was just standing there
you're there with your s'more stick.
Yeah, I literally was just standing there.
Everyone's around the campfire,
literally
bickering,
yelling at each other. No, like
a mouthful of marshmallow. And they're like, "What do you think, Chloe?" And you're like,
yeah. Anyways, that's not what this is about. That's what happened.
That was the encounter. You saw his estranged
family
aunt get on all fours and run off.
Bark, bark, bark. So me and Isaac spent a lot of time together, which was lovely. They had an RV. Oh, no, it wasn't an RV. It was like a trailer.
A camper.
Yeah, a camper. Yeah. And so he brought like his Switch, because you can plug it into the generator or whatever. So we watched a movie outside with his whole family. Not his whole family, but like his parents and sisters. So after the movie was over, them 2 went in the tent and outside to sleep. And me and Isaac were outside, and we're like, let's play games on the Switch. So we played a couple games on the Switch. We were just having fun.
Wholesome.
We see something out of the corner of our eyes. Isaac sees it. We see it pretty much at the same time.
The estranged aunt.
Yeah, she's down. She's growling at us. We look over, and we're like, a cat. And then we see some distinct coloration. It was not a cat. It was a skunk.
Oh.
So we're both sitting there in the chair, and we go, oh, it's a skunk. And we just freeze. We both like stand up and then stay there and just watch.
By the way, like that's the most alarming thing you can do to an animal.
Right?
Yeah.
It kind of like it went, well, I don't exactly remember what happened. I know we saw it to our left, and it was like sitting like over there, and then it like went behind us and then went back into the woods, and we were like, phew. And then like a couple minutes later, We look again and it comes back and goes around. We were sitting at a picnic table and it goes like around the picnic table towards the camper. That's when we stood up so it couldn't see us. And so we like stand up and are looking at this skunk and it's like sniffing around the campsite. And then it finds of course it finds a bag that was left open. And it grabs half of Isaac's sister's burger, chomps down on that thing, and books it. And that was the last we saw of it.
I wish that we had a way to like capture we had a way to capture like animals' thoughts and put them into like humans' voice.
Yeah.
You know, or like their mannerisms. Because I would love to see what that skunk's point of view is. Like, oh my God, is it? Oh my God, a burger. I gotta go.
I know.
I gotta get out of here with this thing.
I know I have a picture or a video of it. I just don't remember when exactly it was. Oh, wait, yes. I think I found where it was. Okay.
It's funny. So I actually, just in the time that you've been talking, I've thought of a few more.
Of course you have.
And it's funny because I don't want to give them away, but they kind of revolve around the same animal.
Skunk.
No, not your animal, but just the same animal from mine. So I guess
a praying mantis?
No, not one that has been said yet. I'll step it up. I'll step it up in intensity.
Right.
Okay?
I have some. Yeah.
So the next one, this one was really cool, and it was kind of another like iconic childhood memory of mine. But in the 5th grade, my school hosted a trip to Washington, D.C. And so you could either pay for it.
Wait,
out of pocket.
I think I did a similar thing.
Yeah. I think a lot of schools.
Was it like the youth conference?
No, there was no conference. It was just a trip.
Oh.
But it was, you could either pay for it or you could raise money through selling pies. And so a lot of my friends who went, their parents bought it for them. I swear to God, I sold like over 500 pies to fund my way onto this trip. And then I told my dad about it and he was like, I want to go. And so my dad bought a way in.
Of course.
And I was like, that's fine. I want to hang out with my dad. My dad's a fun guy to be around. And he knows a lot about history. And we'll be visiting a lot of,
historical places.
Well, one of those places that we went to, it was George Washington's house.
Oh.
And it was really cool, like walking around, it was like, as a kid, you're just kind of like, wow,
George Washington.
And not only is the tour guide telling us stuff, my dad is able to tell me stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just
it's cool. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's
You're
a
having
wonderful
a good
experience.
Time.
And so one of the things that the tour guide told us was that in the area, it was really well known for hunting foxes.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then as a joke to my dad, I was like, oh, I hope we see a fox. And then
in the middle of Washington, D.C.
Well, it's like an estate. George Washington's house. It's very well kept. And so we go outside and we're heading to like the next area and there's a big field behind his house. And so we're walking out and on the left is the field on the pathway that we're walking. And I look over and I'm like, I think I see something. And I point and like a little red fox like hops through the shrubbery. And my dad was like, it's a fox. And I was like,
that's such a wholesome little story.
It was really swell. That was another one of those things that's like, it's a cool animal that you see in the wild doing his own thing.
I did find the video of the skunk horking down on the burger.
Oh, you actually got a video of it?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are close.
We were
insanely
close. We were like, I don't know, within 10 feet of the skunk. We were very close to it. It walked like almost under Isaac's camping chair at one point.
Yeah, I can see why you guys were a little worried.
The next day we were smelling skunk all day and people's dogs were barking all night. I'm like, that skunk definitely got someone's dog.
Oh, 100%.
His dogs were inside the camper. They weren't outside.
Dude, he went to town.
He was horking on that burger.
Well, you could see his little,
It was great.
Little head bob. All right, next story. You're up.
Okay, so we
don't have a lot of time, so I'm trying to get through these.
I mean, today's can be a little bit longer, just because we have extra time. I know, so exciting.
Excited.
I'm
trying to figure out which one to do
I'm
next?
looking at my list here
because
you went with fox.
I can do another one while you try to figure that out.
Because the rest of mine are a little bit more up there.
I have a pretty good mediator then.
Okay, go for a mediator.
So Ryan, that friend of mine from the Primantis story, still
grew up,
still good friends with him. Exactly.
I've met him.
Yes, you have. His family has a beach house up in Longview. It's just outside of Ocean Park. And so occasionally we'll go up there to, hang out and whatnot, go to the beach, have fun. And so we went up. We were on our way back from the beach house. We're driving. We had gotten like 5 minutes outside of his property. And as we're on our way back, I'm driving, and it's the car order is it's me and then Ryan, and then Alex is somewhere trailing behind. And so I'm just driving, and just, you know, good driver safety habits, you check your mirrors.
Yeah.
And so just out of habit, I look behind me to see Ryan in my rearview mirror, and as soon as I look, a black bear ran across the road like feet in front of like this guy had a death wish, but luckily
you guys were going
Ryan
fast?
We were going like 50 miles per hour.
Wow.
And luckily Ryan's a pretty good driver. He's a good driver, good practice. And he manages to like avoid this bear.
My gosh.
And it was like, and so I immediately I'm like smacking Hillary next to me, like, all right. I was like, there's a bear. I don't know if she actually saw it or not, but she calls up Ryan or Taylor because she was in the passenger seat, and she was like, did you see the bear? And they were like, how could we not?
That's crazy.
But it was kind of a funny, like, it's not super intense, but it's like, whoa.
Yeah. I've never seen a black bear in the wild, but my field mate did. I was in. It's so hard to describe the landscape of this mountain I was on, but we were up there, you know, backpack, phone, water, net. That's pretty much it.
Sunscreen.
And sometimes, usually,
you're playing a dangerous game.
Usually, well, some people had their own. Sometimes we shared, but we go do our little surveys. So me and another field mate are doing a survey in the main part of this big meadow, and then there's another like disconnected offshoot that's still technically part of the meadow. So another field mate's doing a survey there, and we had a field safety training like little presentation thing that my supervisor did, and it was very great. It was a really good presentation. It was very like fun and cute, but also taught us how to not die. So we are, like, me and my other field mate are doing our little survey, romping around in the little field, and we see our other mate, like, the road separated the two sections of the field, like running down the road, like sprinting. And I thought she was trying to catch a butterfly, because these suckers move fast. You gotta, if you see one, you have to sprint to get it. Like, they're fast. So I thought she was chasing a butterfly, and I yelled at her, "Yeah, go get that thing," or something.
You're like encouraging it.
And then as she runs around the side, she's yelling something. I'm like, "What?" And then she comes over to the side and she's like, "There was a bear," and I'm like, what? So she was like, I heard noises and I took my binoculars out and I zoomed in on the side of the field, and all I saw were these fuzzy ears and little nose, and then I backed away slowly. I made noise, and then as soon as I was out of eyesight, I booked it. And I was like, I want to go see. So I ran towards where she saw the bear. It wasn't there anymore.
Oh.
But
that
funny. Was great.
That's so
funny. It was
funny.
Really...
I would love to see her reaction from the bear's point of view.
I know.
Like, the bear looks up, like, oh, it's a person over there. And then they see that with the binoculars, and there's like
backing up.
Slowly backs up, and then they turn around and take
It was great. The meadows that I frequently went to had so much fresh bear poop in them all the time. I never saw a bear.
There probably was one around, and you just
I'm certain of it. I'm sure there were multiple. I heard a lot of rustling a couple of times,
and it wasn't the butterflies.
I know, it sure wasn't. I don't know what it was. I have another field story.
Let's
if we
hear
want
it.
to start to escalate a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that.
So I wasn't in mortal danger for this one, I don't think. Actually, I probably could have been. But there's a meadow that has like 3 tiers, that has like a top tier, a middle tier, and a bottom tier. So I was at the top slope, and then I went down to the middle portion, and then I went all the way down to like the very bottom. And survey was going great, catching lots of butterflies. And I'm really bad at survival skills. I have no self-preservation skills. So
what if you sense that you're in danger, you'll just fall over?
Die. Just immediately perish. I hear this rustling.
Might as well give up.
Rise up. And so I we have our little survey timer, so I stop my timer because I'm not actively surveying. and I freeze and I play a little bit of music. I played a little music when I was in the field. I stop my music, I stop my timer, and I just stand there. And this rustling is like big. Like it's like boom, boom, like
Yeah.
something big is moving through the brush.
Sounds like stomps.
Yeah. Eventually, like I'm listening to it walk around. I see it kind of dips down into a little bit of a gully down there, and I see like the leaves shaking and stuff, but I don't see any animal or anything. I just see like shaking.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, it like starts sprinting towards me, like
Oh my God.
actually like, thunk, thunk, and I hear multiple of them, and it's like coming at me. I'm just like, I'm genuinely frozen in place. Like I'm waiting and I'm listening, and I'm seeing that the leaves are getting closer and closer. Literally the very edge of the field. Like I couldn't see, the tree line was so thick, like I couldn't see past it, but I saw that the tree line right before breaking out to me was shaking because something was standing there, and then it left.
Did you ever figure out what it was?
I did, but for only one reason. I was also hearing this extremely terrifying noise going on at the same time. It was like a
It sounds like a goat.
I thought it was a human, like baby or something. I didn't know what it was. Like scary.
You had like a skinwalker encounter.
No, genuinely, it was very scary. And then as soon as I heard like a bunch of them like move and go away, I Googled baby elk noise, and it was the same noise.
It was a baby elk?
No, not that was coming at me. It was the parents.
Oh.
There was a herd of elk, I figure. I don't know for sure. There was a herd of elk in the area, and they were just kind of moving through.
Elk are massive. How did you not?
They didn't poke through the tree line. I genuinely, the brush was so thick I didn't see them. But when the leaves were shaking close to the tree, it was tall. It was massive.
Oh my gosh.
It was, and elk are like, they can kill you.
Elk are big. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when there's a baby around.
I don't
like,
know. I mean, all or most animals
their
when they have
babies,
that, yeah,
yeah.
they protect their babies at all costs.
It was very frightening though, because I was like, oh, if that elk came out and saw me, it very well could have charged me.
And then you would have just fallen over a limb.
No, literally, and then it would have been like, oh, well, my job here's done.
Yeah, do you think that if you did do that, you played dead for an elk, they would have been
I don't know. I know you're supposed to do that for grizzly bears.
Yeah. There's
But
certain, there's like each bear has its
I
own
thought
thing.
it was like two bears.
It decided to team up.
No, really, I thought it was like two bears because there was multiple of them around, and it sounded like big and like dragging its feet, and I was like, and there's so much fresh bear poop in that field. I was like, it's time to be done. I want to go home.
This is a perfect segue for my next story.
Go for
because
it. Hit me with
I
it.
also to this day have no idea what it was.
Oh, I love that.
What it was around
So
me.
scary.
And I'm pretty sure I've told you this story before.
Maybe.
But I went up to
Wait, I think I know which one you're going to talk about.
So I went up to the Olympic National Park with some
Mhm.
friends to go for an overnight backpacking trip. And so we hike out.
I keep going. I'm just remembering.
Yeah, so we hike out to the coastline and we camp on this little tiny, it's like 10 feet off of the sandbank, this like bluff. And it's like a campsite kind
Yeah.
of, but it's for backpacking, you know, so it's just a lot of people who are doing the same thing we are. And they have a lot of bears in the area. And so you have to bring a bear can with you to put food in, which makes sense, you know. And so we do our thing, we make a fire, we hang out. I accidentally burned my shoes in half.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. You told me about that.
Yeah, I fell in the ocean and they got all wet. And
then you put them by the fire to dry them, and then they got on fire.
Completely forgot. And I didn't realize until I saw smoke.
And then you smelled like burning shoe.
Yeah, I had to use paracord to like tie them up.
It's so funny.
But anyway, so we're getting ready to go to bed and whatnot. So we're making sure we put all of our food in this bear can. And so we do. Well, to spoil the end of the story, I forgot a granola bar.
Oh, it was you.
Or two in my backpack. And so I know that there's bears in the area, and so I brought my pistol with me.
Yeah.
Or I guess it was mine. It was my dad's pistol that he let me borrow because mine's only 9mm.
And you might die from a bear.
And so he
Black
was like,
bears are wimps, but like they still can kill you if they really wanted to.
Totally. And so it's like, I want to say it's like 1 or 2 a.m., you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I wake up to something sniffing outside my tent. Yeah, it was exactly like this. And so I'm like,
Oh no.
oh, it's probably a deer or something. And then it's like, it's heavy footsteps around me. And I was like, oh God, I wonder if it's a bear. And so like I grab my gun and I like have it on my chest. I'm still like lying there, and I grab my flashlight, and I'm kicking myself now because I wish I would have just poked my head out and looked. But at the same time, like that would have had its own, you know, series of events unfolding afterwards, depending on what it was. But I hear this sniffing around me. I immediately, like, this surge of adrenaline, and I'm like thinking the worst. I'm like, it's a bear. It's a big fucking bear. It's gonna jump on my tent. And we're all like, we're pretty crammed together in this campsite. And so my tent is there, and Ryan is sleeping in a hammock, and it's like less than a foot between my tent and his hammock. I'm surprised Ryan didn't wake up because this thing was like circling our campsite.
And also he's in a hammock.
And he's in a hammock, and it's like it's stomping around, but it pushed between us at one point, which means that it
shook the hammock.
It like shoved him out of the way. And so it's like I'm freaking out. I'm sitting there, and like at this point, like I'm fully alert and awake. I have my flashlight and my gun, and I'm like waiting for it because I'm imagining that this thing is gonna like, you know, I'm also really tired still. I'm thinking that this thing is gonna like unzip the tent and come in to look at me, and so I'm like looking at the tent opening the whole time with like ready for this thing to introduce itself to me. And I'm freaking out. I'm there. I'm lying there for like an hour or more.
I believe it.
And so eventually it wanders off, and I kind of calm down. I'm like, oh, okay, thank God. Like I can go back to bed. I can stop worrying. And I can hear it like getting further and further away. And so at this point, I'm like, I've talked myself to like, it's probably a deer or an elk.
Right.
Something, you know, it's not a bear.
A badger.
But then one of our friends, Giovanni, he used to go here. He is 2 tents down from me. And he all of a sudden in his sleep just like coughs, you know. And it was the most terrifying thing to me because I'm just starting to relax. I can still hear it, but it's really far away.
Yeah.
It's walking away. As soon as this thing like turns around, and I hear like back over to our campsite, and it like, I don't know why, but it stopped at my tent again. It was like, and I was like, it's like pushing against the tent at this point. I'm like,
What if it was one of your friends just playing the ultimate prank on you?
That's the thing is, later on I was telling him about it the next morning, and they were all crying, laughing. And it was really cold that night too. Like I forgot to mention how cold it was because it was I forgot the time of year, but it was fall, I think. So it was getting really chilly out. And Ryan was like, "Can you imagine if it was me and I had just gotten really cold in my hammock, and so I was coming to see
and you have your gun out."
And he's like, "Aaron." But that was really freaky.
I love that story.
And I wish I would have, when it was further away, like poked my head out just to see what it was. But you know,
and
it's
then
like,
I want to turn around and come at you.
Yeah, and well, especially because like earlier that night, before all this had happened, I'd gone to the bathroom before, and it was like pitch black.
Yeah.
Like there was overcast, so there was no moonlight.
Yeah.
It was just, you could only hear the ocean.
You just would have been looking into inky blackness and then hearing coming towards you.
I was terrified, and that was probably, if it was a bear, that's probably the closest I've ever been to a bear. Like
besides like at the zoo.
Yeah, like inches.
Yeah, you can't even get that close at the zoo.
Not unless you're like glass to glass kissing.
Okay, I have some stories from my parents, and these are great. I have 2, and I would like to share both of them if time allows.
Yeah.
So, first one, less funny, but still funny and great. So, my parents like to go to Palm Springs every couple years, every other year or so, to have a little getaway. I think they do it typically around their anniversary or something. So they go, they like to stay in a certain resort. They love the trails around there, you know. And then, of course, the whole time they're sending me, you know, oh, I saw this lizard. I saw this cool bug. Like, I saw this wildlife, you know.
I'm happy to know that I'm not the only one that does that.
Yeah, everyone in my life does that. Every time anyone sees anything related even closely to reptiles, they're like, look, you like this thing. And I'm like, I do.
It's like a grandparent sending their kids all the like,
really,
video game
that's
stuff
what
they
it
see.
is. I thought you liked the Call of Duty, so I got you this for Christmas.
I got you this grenade.
Wow, thanks, Grandpa.
I immediately throw it.
Yep. So they're very active, which is crazy because my parents are both like 50 something. And sorry, Mom, I know she listens to this. I'm sorry. You're not old, but you know,
she's spry.
Yeah. So they're walking one of the trails that they love to walk. It's like hot. So because it's California. So it's like a nice half shaded, half sunny walk. You know, they do it a little bit earlier in the morning, and they're taking this hike. They are a pretty good few miles out from the resort, and there's like nothing else out there. It's kind of way in the middle of nowhere. So they're not like near anybody. And they pass maybe 2 hikers on the trail, you know, and it's a couple mile trail. So they're out there.
Isolated.
Yeah. And
Isolated.
in Palm Springs, they always say like, "Oh, watch where you're walking because there's rattlesnakes here." And my parents had gone years and years and years, never seen a single one. Never even heard of someone who'd seen one near the resort or anywhere in that area. So they were aware. They were still being cautious, my dad especially, but you know, they'd never seen one. It wasn't a concern. So
your dad's on Overwatch. He's a big guy.
Right. He is 6'6". He's a big guy.
He's looking out.
Yeah. He's like a watchtower, just like on 2 legs.
Like that. Your mom's enjoying the hike and he's like turning from side to side.
Beep, 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 like scanning. So they're just walking. Really. They're just walking. And my mom looks down because, you know, you're supposed to watch your feet every now and then. Literally like 3 inches from her foot, she sees a pattern. And that's all that she saw before she literally took off and ran in front of my dad. Like, I don't know. She ran for probably like 15 to 20 seconds.
Did
like
she say anything?
She screamed.
Oh, I thought she's like in dead silence.
Nope.
Just took out. Your dad's like, what happened?
She screamed and she booked it.
Your dad probably thought she got bit at first.
Right, he was really concerned. He ran after her. What? And she goes, "There was a rattlesnake." And they're like, "What?" And she was like, "It was right there, like right on the trail next to me." And they're looking and they like see in the distance the snake like crossing the road. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so glad you didn't get bit." Like,
they're real.
We're so far out here. There's no one around. Like if my dad got bit, guess who wouldn't be able to carry him anywhere? My mom, who's 5'3". A good thing my mom didn't get bit because like it would take forever for them to get somewhere safe. There was no reception, you know.
Yeah.
So
have to suck the venom out.
Right. They were like, "Whoo, you know, crisis averted."
Does that actually work?
No, not even a little bit.
You can still bet that like if I got bit.
I mean, you can do it, but it's not gonna. It's probably gonna poison you more than it is.
Yeah.
Help the person.
I'd get bit and I'd be like, "Suck it," and they'd be like, "It doesn't work," and I'd be like, "It makes me feel better."
I kiss it anyway.
Kiss it anyway.
It's
like peeing on a jellyfish sting.
And that doesn't work either. And it was like a 5-footer. Like
that's me peeing on everyone at the beach. I'm here to help. I didn't get stuck.
Just in case you do.
Just in case. It's a precaution.
It's like sunscreen. It works. But it was like a big female rattle. Like it was 5 feet at least and pretty thick. Like it was a big rattlesnake. So like it's kind of turned off and like gone into the bushes. This snake is not fast at all. It is this man is moseying as much as you can be. He's just going on his way. And then my dad, after they're like caught their breath, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was so scary," like kind of recovering from the shock. My dad goes, "What am I doing? I have to go get a picture for Chloe or she's gonna kill me." So he runs back over there, gets his camera out and is like far. Yeah. But he's got his camera out, he zooms in, he takes this little video. All you can see in the video is like the very tail of the rattlesnake like disappearing into the bushes.
He's like, look.
No, it was crazy. And then they texted me the whole story afterward. I was like, thank goodness you went back. Because you're right. I would have killed you if you saw a rattlesnake. You didn't take any pictures for me.
You're like, Mom, you got to step up your game.
No, really.
You should have taken a picture before you took off.
As soon as it was right by your foot, you should have just...
I feel like you're the type of person who would do this. And I'm also the type of person who would do this. Probably. Because I've done it in the past. If there's a snake, like...
I'm grabbing it.
I'm trying to grab it.
I'm grabbing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Like I remember I was little and I was just like walking around with some classmates and there was this huge gardener snake.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh my God, a snake!" And so I immediately ran up. I'm like, "Oh, crikey!" I'm like trying to grab
it. Look at this beauty.
But
I love to be that person. And when I was with Isaac at Silver Falls, when we went on the Silver Falls loop, and I found a couple garter snakes while I was there. It was fun. I would just pick them up, look, and then he would always be like, "I'm so proud of you. You caught the snake." even though I do that all the time. Very wholesome. And then
So supportive.
at one point we like took a break because I'm not as physically fit as he is, so I had to like take a breather on the trail. We also ran out of water because we weren't prepared. Could have died, whatever. So we stop, we're like, take a little breather, and then I see that I'm like resting against the like, kind of embankment area, and then there's a little garter snake on there. Oh, I pick it up, I'm like, Isaac, look, there was a snake just sitting right here. And this old guy walks by and he goes, whoa, we got a reptile expert over here. Or he was like, we got Miss Queen Reptile. He was just like, you're just like a zookeeper. It was so funny.
I just love this old guy like heckling you.
No, he was like supportive.
No, he wasn't saying it
No,
like
no, no.
as sarcastic as you
No.
just did.
He was like very impressed.
That would be so much
Look at
better.
this guy over here.
Yeah, he just sees you holding a snake.
little tiny
He's like,
garter
Look
snake."
at this idiot. Thinks there's some type of expert or something.
No, he was like, I don't even know what he said. He said something funnier than that, but I can't remember what he said. But he was just like, you just picked that snake right up. And I was like, yeah. It was this tiny, tiny garter snake. It was so funny. But yeah, so that's the rattlesnake story.
That's great.
Do you
love
have
that.
any more that you're like dying to share?
I have a few. I have an honorable mention. Any salamander that I see while at a lake, that's
In my mouth.
Oh.
Immediately.
No.
Oh.
But just when you're swimming and you see one like
Oh, that's a newt, my friend.
a newt.
That's a newt.
Yeah.
That's a rough-skinned newt, not a salamander.
Any newt I see in the lake, I'm happy.
10 out of 10. Newts are perfect.
Any large fish?
Oh, hey, immediately my day is made.
Exactly. I feel
My day's
I feel
better.
the same way.
I see a big fish and I'm like, whoa!
Did you see that? Wow!
Literally every human being is the same. Because at any time, doesn't matter if you're a fisherman, like for thousands of years, doesn't matter what walk of life you go, you're at the lake with somebody, you see a big fish, you go, did you see that?
I think everyone has that in if you see a large fish and you
It's
don't
monkey,
get
it's
excited, that's you're weird. Like,
I agree.
You're the odd
I
one
so
out.
agree.
But no, I want. It's a quick one. It's not my own. It's
Yeah,
my
yeah.
brother's. He was up at Mount St. Helens muzzleloader hunting, and he decided to sit down on this trail. He's sitting on the trail, enjoying himself, looking for deer.
Mm-hmm.
He hears something. All of a sudden, he told me, 10 feet out in front of him, a baby black bear
Uh-oh.
comes out and is like stopped on the trail and is like looking at him, and then like it turns and like
Goes
hobbles off into the forest. And then he said a few moments later, because he was freaked out now, he's like, where's the mom?
Where's Mama Bear?
And he said that
Yeah.
like a few moments later, the mom came out and was just like looking straight at him. And he was like, I was so ready to shoot. He's like, I
Well,
was
yeah,
freaking out.
because black bears don't attack unless they're with cubs.
And he was like, I don't think my muzzleloader would have done anything. He's like, I don't know if I could have gotten to my pistol, but he was like, I was ready to shoot. And then he said, just by a stroke of luck, it just turned and went off into the forest. And I was like, I would have like shit myself and like thrown it at
and
the
then
bear.
And then it would have been like, ooh, what's that?
Is this so good?
Bears are gross.
Yeah. Did you know that monkeys eat their own poop?
Every animal eats their own poop except for us sometimes.
Yeah, because we're not
Babies,
weird.
well, babies, when you get to like toddler age, sometimes they be. I just made a gesture that you all couldn't see,
it was
but
a
it
pretty
was.
funny gesture.
Yeah.
I think that everyone smells it and they're like,
Yeah. Well, except
No.
for animals.
except for animals. Do you think
Dogs
that it
eat
smells
poop all
good
the
to
time.
animals?
I don't know. Man, I don't know. I hope not.
I always imagine it like when I'm walking Elliot and he stops and is like smelling another dog's poop. First off, I'm like, dude, come
That's
on.
gross. Like,
like,
be distinguished.
I'll give him some time, but then I'll like kind of pull him. Like,
Come on.
dude, come on.
That's gross.
And then he'll come off the poop and walk with me.
Mm.
But I'm always imagining like what do they interpret it as? Because like
I don't know.
Because like even if I smelled something really good, I wouldn't just like sit at it for just like smelling it for
I don't know.
Dozens of seconds on end. But maybe it's to them it's like a book or it's like
Maybe.
it's like a note
Like,
that the other dog left.
Yeah.
It's like I had dog food. I stole a carrot from the table. I
think you're onto something.
they're like it's like a recipe
I
for
really-
them.
That's great. Speaking of dogs,
That's why when you see like they see the human pick up their poop, they're like,
what the heck?
I left that for someone else. Like, come on.
How are they gonna know?
No.
Speaking of dogs, my last story.
Let's hear it.
So, everyone knows I go to those exotic shows, Pac Noirs. They're great. all sorts of crazy animals.
Yes.
They have a
When's the next one?
April, Hillsboro. You
Okay.
should totally come. It's gonna be great. But they don't really do this part anymore. They used to have a much more involved, like, not a petting zoo, but like a exotic mammal portion where it was kind of zoo-y.
Yeah.
You know, they have a small thing now where they have like a kangaroo, a capybara. They have
Like show and
sheep
tell.
and goats. Yeah. But before they would have like somebody locally who does like big cat rescue, bring like a cougar and have it in an enclosure, like
That's
in the back.
cool.
Yeah. Right. And like, you know, a toucan and, you know, cool stuff. But it's not super ethical. So they stopped doing that. And also people just kind of stopped wanting it because it's like, oh, we can use this space for vendors instead of, because you can't like pay to go in with them. It's like, you can't, there's
Pay
nothing,
your
you pay your
picture
admission
taken.
and then you just get to see it, you know. It's like, oh, we could use this for table space, you know.
They put a gold bar
Yeah, it's like,
inside of it, and they're like, if you can get it out,
you get it.
you get it.
So yeah, they stopped doing it since, but a couple years ago, it was quite a while. I mean, I would say it was maybe like 5 or more years ago. They had this guy who locally raised like captive bred wolves, like full wolf, not wolf dogs, like wolves, like big. And I don't know if you've ever seen a wolf in real life.
They're massive.
Because you think, oh, it's a dog. It's like a dog size. Those things are 200 pounds and like all muscle. And they are huge. I mean, it just standing, its shoulders were practically up to my mom's shoulders. Like, they're huge,
Yeah.
dude. So my cousin who runs the shows, he goes up to the guy who has like the couple, like the cougar and the I don't know, there were a couple other
The
things.
usual people who are
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
The worker, and he's like, hey, this is my aunt and uncle. Like, can we do something cool for them? Because he runs the show. And they're not going to say no. So they get over, they like feed the toucan some blueberries. Like, it hops on their arm. Like, oh, that's so cool. Like, we got to feed the toucan. And then he's like, you want to go in with the wolves?
Want to feed the wolves?
And they're like, mm-mm. And then Jeff, of course, my cousin, he's like, no, it's so cool. Like, it's safe. Like, you're going to love it. It's going to be so cool. Like, you're getting experience no one else gets. It's going to be like so cool. You're going to think about this forever. So my mom and dad go in there with the wolves. It's not a huge cage, first of all. It's, you know, tight enough. So they go in there with the trainer or whatever. And immediately the wolves like jump on them and start trying to lick inside their mouths because that's what wolves do. It's gross. But my dad, 6 foot, he's strong too, is having trouble like getting this wolf off him. My mom is completely pinned to the wall by this wolf, and it's just like licking her face, and she's trying to grab it down. My dad is having to grab both wolves and like try to kind of pull them down a little or push them down a little bit because they're just pinning my mom to the wall, licking her face.
Yeah.
And my dad is like, I can't control these things. They are so unbelievably strong. So
They're like,
they're
they
in
turn
there
to your cousin and they're like, you just brought us in here to get
eaten,
harassed.
right? So
I
like
just got
they're in there,
assaulted.
everyone's kind of laughing. It's like, whoa, this is really kind of intense.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, still
like
lighthearted,
camping.
whatever. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just like the bear in your tent.
Oh.
But
The bear.
it's like scary, but you know, it's under control.
Yeah.
And so the wolves kind of jump off. They're kind of like doing wolf. They're
Doing wolf things.
yeah, they're just kind of being dog-ish, but a little bit more intense. So they're kind of wrestling with each other a little bit. They go back to my parents, are like licking their hands and whatever. And then one of them sticks its head in a bowl, and the other one comes over, and the one whose head was in the bowl goes, "Arr!" And then a piece of chicken falls out of the bowl right next to my mom's foot. And the guy goes, "Oh, I didn't realize they had food in here. We should go." And my mom at that point is just like, "What?" So he opens the cage. He like shoves the wolves away. He opens the cage. My parents get out. They're like, like terrified. And so they go up to Jeff and they're like, "Dude, like that was great. Like, did you feel how strong?" My dad was talking to him. He was like, "Did you feel how strong those things were? Like, I couldn't even hold it down. I'm like, that was crazy. They're so strong. They're so intense." Like, he just kept saying over and over, "I can't believe how strong they were. Like, could you believe it?" And Jeff goes, "I'm not going in there with those things." And then my dad was mad. He's like, "I'm not doing that."
That's so good.
But yeah, That's what happened. And then it was fine. We have a video of it too. I can fish it out for you later, but
God, what a prank. That's
it was
so funny.
the story is such a good one. But like it was scary to see because those things were just massive.
Wolves are huge.
Yeah.
My dad's friend
They're the real deal.
was like being stalked by like a pack once, and one of them got too close, and so he ended up shooting it.
Whoa.
And so he has a picture with like he's holding it up, and it's like it's
Huge.
huge.
Yeah.
Like it's massive. Because from a distance, you're like, oh, that thing doesn't look that.
It looks like a dog, but a little bit bigger.
Yeah, but
like
it's like
three times the size of your average big dog.
They get closer, and it's like, oh,
They're huge.
it's pretty cool, honestly. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I think that's all we've got for today.
that is all we have time for today. Do we know what we're talking about next week?
We were talking about dinosaurs. We might hop on that train.
We should hop on the dinosaur train.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a little kid
Dinosaur
show.
train. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for listening. You should message us on Instagram.
Let us
with
know what you
with
want to hear.
Your close encounters.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
See you next week.
Bye.
Yeah, yeah.